In today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive into how I was able to grow my small cash-only account at Thinkorswim to $28,093.54 in just 16 days. Today is the final episode of this small account challenge as I am sitting right now up $5,955 on the day, which put me over my $25,000 goal. And if you notice, my big account is up pretty nicely today as well. In fact, I am up over $100,000 today. And that came from about 3 hours of day trading. Now, this is probably a good opportunity for those of you guys tuning in for the first time for me to introduce myself to you. My name is Ross Cameron. I'm a full-time trader. I funded my first account in 2001, more than 20 years ago. And I want to tell you, my results are not typical. And the results of this small account challenge are not typical either. But I presented myself with this challenge to see how quickly I could grow a cash-only account with no margin and no leverage, which meant I could only take one trade per day. That was the challenge, and it is now complete. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through the final trade that put me over the goal. I'm also going to share with you the details of the strategy that I've been trading. Now, I will post a link. It's going to be pinned to the top of the comments and linked in the description where you can download my small account strategy PDF. This is a resource that you can download, you can print it out, and you can start practicing the strategy that I'm trading every single day. I encourage you, as always, to practice these new strategies that you're learning in a simulator before you put real money on the line. So let's go ahead and jump into our slide deck because we've got a lot to cover. Okay, so the stock that I traded today, ATNF, I'm up $6,000 in the small account, which is a really impressive return because this morning, the small account was sitting at $22,000. So you can see my current buying power is $28,000. The account's up like 30% just today, which was really impressive. But you know what? This was actually kind of what I thought was going to happen. And the reason is we had a spark yesterday, a stock that created this spark of a new hot cycle in the market. Yesterday, we had a stock that went up over 2,000%. That's right. A stock went from about $3 a share, not to 20, not to 30, not to 40, but to $60 a share in one day. And so today, I was looking for the one stock that I thought had the potential to give me $1 a share. And I thought if I could buy 4 or maybe 5,000 shares of this stock and get $1 a share, boom, that would put me over the line, and that's exactly what happened. So let's go ahead and go full screen here. Now, I do have some things I'm going to share with you as some of my personal critiques about the Thinkorswim challenge. There are some things that I would do differently for my next challenge, which is only a matter of time before I do the next challenge. So I'm going to share those things with you and some of the challenges that I faced during the small account challenge, specifically with the Thinkorswim platform, because it wasn't all smooth sailing. I'll break that down in more detail as we go through. So the topics of today's class: my small account challenge, summarizing the goal and crossing that finish line, the small account strategy and the final trade, the results of this challenge, and I'm going to compare them against the results of my, I suppose, the challenge that I did that is sort of the most famous challenge that I've done, which is where I took an account with less than $600 and turned it into $100K in 45 days. So that was really impressive. And I ended up, by the end of the year, being up $335,000 in that account. And it took about 3 years before I crossed over $1 million, from $600 to $1 million. And then I kept trading in that account. It's now at over 10 million. That's part of one challenge. So I'm going to compare the first month of that challenge to these last 16 days, of this current challenge. And then I'm going to share with you what I would do differently next time, because there will be a next time. I like challenging myself, and these are fun for me. So let's start high level with the strategy. Well, before I do that, let me reiterate here what the goal was. So I set up a cash-only account with Thinkorswim. Now, the reason I use Thinkorswim as my broker was because so many traders like Thinkorswim, and you often see that I'm using a different platform for my own trading. The platform that I'm using, which you could see in the background right here, this is Lightspeed Trading. It's a broker that I've been using for a long time. they really cater to both institutional traders, well, not exactly hedge funds, but like prop firms and trading desks for people that are really taking this very seriously, professional traders. But they also cater to very active retail traders like myself. So I've been using them for, gosh, like 8-9 years, and I've loved them. And when I started using Lightspeed, brokers like Thinkorswim were still charging up to $10 for a commission. So a broker like Lightspeed that charges $2 or $3 for a commission was like a no-brainer. But then in 2019, when we went to commission-free trading, the competitive advantage for Lightspeed started to dwindle a little bit. So anyways, this is a Thinkorswim challenge. It's a cash-only account. And the reason I did this is because of T1 settlement. So May 31st, 2024, T1 settlement was enacted, which means if you have an account with, let's just say, $10,000 in it, just for even numbers, and you buy 1,000 shares of a stock at $10 a share, that's $10,000 in the trade. You buy it at 10, let's say you sell it at 10.25, you're up $250, and then you can't take another trade that day because you tied up all of your available cash. The next day, this trade settles because of T1 overnight, and the next day you'll have $10,250 in your account. And so now you could buy, 1,000 shares, 1,025 shares or whatever, right? You could start buying a little bit more, and you just basically keep chipping away, one trade a day, one trade a day. So that's the biggest limitation with a cash-only account. You can day trade in the sense that you can trade as much as you want, but when you run out of cash, you have to wait till tomorrow. So for me, there were sort of two ways to approach this. I could either take a lot of trades with small size, or I could focus on one A quality setup each day and hit it with full size. And that was the approach that I took. There were a couple of days I took 2 trades, but most days I took 1 trade using all of my available buying power and got as much as I could out of it. Some days that was 10 cents a share, $200. Some days it was 50 cents a share and I'd make $500 or $1,000, depending on how many shares I was able to borrow or buy. So in this case, my goal for the challenge was to grow the account as quickly as possible to $25,000, which is the PDT minimum. So once you're over 25,000, now you can switch from cash to a margin account, and I can day trade as much as I want. So this is the magic number. Anything below 25,000, well, you're stuck really either with a margin account where you can only day trade 3 times in a 5-day period, which is no good, or you just use a cash account and deal with T1 settlement, right? So you trade as much as you can until you run out of buying power. So given that was the challenge to see how quickly I could grow this account with that limitation, the strategy that I implemented was a little different from the way I typically trade. Just to put it in context, if we look at my my metrics right here, let's see. So these are the metrics from the challenge. But if I take these off here and I go for just the last month or whatever, we can look at the month of October here. I'm taking an average of 11 trades, 30 trades, 14 trades, 1 trade, 12 trades, 27 trades. Most days I'm taking a good number of trades, right? There's a couple days, not as many, but most days I'm taking a dozen or more trades. So I had to figure out, how was I going to throttle myself down to just taking 1 trade a day? Now there's a little bit of pressure with this challenge because you don't want to waste the 1 trade. You only get 1 shot and you don't want to waste it. Like let's say, for instance, I get in a stock at $3 and it goes to like 302. Do I sell it? Because if I sell it and I've used up all of my buying power, I can't take another trade that day. So then there's a part of me that's like, maybe I should just hold it for a second and see what it does. Then it drops to 290 and now I'm red. Oh, I don't want to sell it now if it rips right back up. And then it goes to 280, 270, and it's a bigger loss. So this was the approach that I took. I said, I'm gonna focus first of all on A quality setups, and I'm gonna tell you and explain exactly what that is in a moment. And I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna get out as soon as it hesitates. And if that means I'm getting out up only 3 cents a share, I'm getting out up only 3 cents a share. And if it goes 50 cents before it hesitates, then that's awesome. But I had a number of trades where I really wasn't making a lot, but small winners. And so something that's notable about this challenge is that when we look at the metrics of this challenge and you look at these 16 days, there's no red days. I have 16 green days in a row in this small account challenge. Now, granted, some of them were small green days, like was $173, $157. They're not all big green days, but they were all green days. My accuracy through this challenge was 90%, over 90%. My average winners were $772. My average losers were $186. That's a 4-to-1 profit to loss ratio with 90% accuracy. This right here, these are the metrics of what could be a millionaire trader if you can increase the number of trades. 22 trades, that's not a lot of trades. So it's gonna take a long time to make $1 million. Now, granted, you could take bigger share size than I was taking. I was limited by the amount of shares I could borrow or I could buy. But even in spite of that, 22 trades, it's going to take a long time to make $1 million. So I'll talk about how I sort of ramped down my go-to strategy to accommodate this challenge, and then how I would ramp it back up, but also try to maintain these types of metrics. So let's go and talk about the strategy here. All right, so full screen back on the slide deck. This is the 5-step strategy that I've implemented for this small account challenge. It begins with step 1, finding strong stocks to trade every single day. And so as I go through these 5 steps, I'm going to use, of course, my trade on ATNF as the case study. So this is going to walk you through this amazing trade. Okay, so step 1 is I need to find the stock that I'm going to trade. I need to find that A quality setup. So what constitutes an A quality setup for me? For me, I have 5 pillars of stock selection. In the PDFs that I've made available as part of this Thinkorswim challenge, I've got a bunch of downloads for you guys. We've got the small account challenge, but we've also got my 5 pillars of stock selection. It's a written PDF that outlines each one of these pillars in detail. So that, again, the link is pinned at the top of the comments and in the description so you guys can download all those resources. So my 5 pillars of stock selection tell me the type of stocks that I should trade. Now, in 2017, I hired a development team and we started building out this software here, which is called Day Trade Dash. This is the software that people subscribe to over at Warrior Trading. This software has my chat room and it has my broadcast and everything else, but it also has scanners, it has charts, and it has a news feed right here. So these scanners I've programmed to search the market for the stocks that meet these 5 pillars. However, I've cast a little bit of a wider net in order to get basically a good selection of stocks each day. And then I manually look at each of them to decide how closely they meet my criteria for being A quality. So one of the things that I know is that based on my metrics, and this is based on years and years of trading data, again, we'll take away the Thinkorswim tag there. So you can tag with this platform, this software, so you can group your trades. So anyways, when I take away that tag, this is $13.2 million in gross profit and 68% accuracy. So you could see actually my accuracy on average is significantly lower than what I achieved during the small account challenge. The reason is during the challenge, I forced myself to take the highest quality setups. There's a book right here that I'll give you for recommended reading. It's called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. And some of you guys have heard me talk about this before. She's got a second book called Quit, The Power of Knowing When to Walk Away. Both of these are a must read for any aspiring trader. But in the book Thinking in Bets, she talks about the story of how she learned to play poker from her brother, who told her, these are the hands you play. When you see these hands or you get this hand, you play that hand. And she said, well, I don't understand because I see people that are playing different hands. And he said, yeah, well, they've been doing this for a long time. You're a beginner. These are the only hands you play. In other words, these are the hands that have the highest probability of success. So that's all you should do. So for a small account challenge, when my back is up against the wall and I can't afford to lose, I feel that pressure to just take the best setups. Now, to add context, I funded this account, this Thinkorswim account, as a Roth IRA. So because it's an IRA, you are limited in the amount of money you can contribute. So if I screwed up this challenge, I wouldn't be able to add more money to the account until next year because you're limited how much you can add each year. So because of that limiting factor, I really felt like I had no choice but to be super disciplined. But if we look at my metrics here for sort of these last 8 years or 9 years, whatever it is here, we can look at a couple things. Number one, my profitability is primarily during the beginning of the day. So that meant for the small account challenge, some parameters were trading from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. That was pretty much like a guaranteed. I wouldn't trade outside that window. Even though that I was tempted, especially yesterday when we had that big 2,000% move that was later in the day, I stuck with my rules and only traded between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. for the small account challenge. Now, what I also know is my profitability based on price is that I do the best on stocks between 5 and 10. And so for this challenge, I told myself that I would actually trade anything under $10. Now, the reason I was willing to trade cheaper stocks between 1 and 2 was because I recognized that with a small account, you know, I could buy more shares of a cheap stock. And if it goes up 20, 30%, and I potentially put my whole account in that, I'm going to get 20, 30% return. Now, some people would say, Ross, you're risking losing your whole account. But remember, that's not true, because as a day trader, I get in, but I'm always thinking about my max loss. And my max loss is based on the cents per share that I'm willing to hold as the stock goes down before I just sell for a loss. So I'm not going to hold till zero. So I own something, and my account balance is like a tool that I use that allows me to buy this thing, but I'm not going to hold it till zero. I'll hold it if it hits my max loss, but that's it. And in total, I did have 2 losers during this challenge. The losers were small, which was good, but I did have 2 losing trades during this challenge. The first one was actually on the first day of the challenge, which was kind of annoying. And that was actually because of glitch, flaw, I don't know, something with the Thinkorswim platform, which we'll talk about. And then the second one was, I think it was last week or maybe the week before. So anyways, 2 losers, but the average loss was $186. So number one, knew that I needed to focus on 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. stocks under 10. And I also knew that I need to focus on stocks with relative volume, RV, of 5 times or up, and stocks up at least 10% on the day, because my metrics also tell me this is where I make the most money. So these are kind of some of my guidelines for the small account challenge. All right. So just to name a few. So when I sit down each day, the first thing I'm checking are my scanners. These are looking and searching the market in real time for stocks that are moving higher. And I'm looking for a stock that I think most closely meets my criteria for having the potential to go up at least 40 or 50 cents a share. Now, some people might think that's a little crazy, but I sort of thought if I'm looking at a setup and I don't think it has the potential to go up 50 cents a share, I don't even know if I want to waste my one trade of the day on it. So there were a lot of stocks that came up on the scanners that I looked at and I was like, you know, it's going to be a grinder. It's going to be thickly traded. It's not going to go up 30 cents, 40 cents. No way is it going to go up 50 cents. And I just say, you know what? I'm not going to touch it. Then there were other stocks that started to pop up and it would hesitate just a minute under a $0.50 whole dollar. And I'd look at that and I'd think, you know what? If this breaks that level, we're going right to the next level. That's 50 cents a share. And those were some of my best trades, including the one I had today. So when I'm looking at the scanners, the first thing I'm looking at is the ticker. And I'm just, you know, familiarizing myself and saying, do I know this stock? When ATNF was on the scan today, it first hit my scanner down here at $2.94. And I was familiar with the stock. I already know the stock. I've traded it before. So ATNF hits my scan. I see that the float is 930,000 shares, which recollects my memory that that is about correct. I've traded it before, but I don't always remember exactly the float, but I knew it was pretty low. The float is the number of shares available to trade, and that's the level of supply. Demand is created when people are buying the stock. Why are people buying this stock? It's because they have a breaking news headline that just came out at 8 a.m. So this alert is at 8:04 and 51 seconds. So it came out 4 minutes and 51 seconds after the breaking news. So in this case, this stock, it took a couple of minutes for traders evidently to notice the news and to start buying it up. But because the float is particularly low, people bought it up very quickly. Now, the daily relative volume, it starts at 14 and very quickly goes to 100, and now is up over 3,600 times on the day. So that's the relative volume. So for this particular stock, we had a relative volume of 3,600 currently, but we were already at 14 before I took my first trade. The price was under 10. It was already up more than 10% on the day. And this was within the window of 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. So check, check, check. Everything's lining up. So step one really is focused just in this window here. And in fact, a stock can hit my scanner and I don't even proceed to step two. I don't even look at the chart. So this is, the chart's already in here and the news is in here. But if a stock hits my scanner and let's say it's an 85 million share float or something like that, or 150 million share float, I'm not even going to bother pulling up the chart because I'm going to know that this is going to be a stock that's going to be thickly traded. It's going to be a slow mover. It's not going to be anything I want to trade. Certainly not for the small account challenge. Or if I see a stock that's $76 a share, I'm not even going to click it. I'm not even going to pull it up. I don't even care what the news is. It's not going to work for the small account. Yes, the float is low, but it doesn't matter. So the two deal breakers, really, the biggest one is for this case, small account challenge, price. And the second is float. Those are the two most important. And then the third is I want to make sure the stock is obvious. So when a stock is lighting up the scanners like this and is going from 3 to 310, 350, $3.80, $4 really quickly, that's something that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to. All right, so step two is I've seen the stock on the scanner and now I'm clicking on it to figure out why is it moving up? What's the catalyst? So step two is figuring out what the news is. We have this news window right here that's built into the Day Trade Dash platform. And so I'm able to click on a stock and immediately the chart populates and the news window populates as well. These windows are all linked together with this linking feature. I could just put this up right here for a second. So with the linking feature, if I click on, VS, for instance, it updates everything. So the chart and the news window, everything else. VSME, right now it's in after hours trading. So we could look at the top, well, it doesn't matter, but you could look at the top after hours gainer scanner. You can sort of add the color link to that, and then you could check out what's going on with some of these. This is up 150%. This one's up 152%. So these might be stocks that we'll watch into tomorrow, potentially, especially when we check the float. So anyways, step one, find the stock. Step two, I try to figure out what the news is. Now, being able to interpret the news is something that some traders struggle with. So this is what I'll tell you. To make it simple, I didn't read the news. I didn't need to read the news. Why? Because the stock was spiking up, okay? If the stock is spiking up, other people seem to like the news, and that's really all I need to know. Now I could open the news, I could read the news, and I could form my own opinion. I could say, this news is stupid. I don't like it. And the stock goes up 1,000% anyways. So I try not to get too much in my head about analyzing the news. I just say, is there news? And then that explains why it's spiking up. Because if there was no news at all and the stock is spiking up, then I'm a little confused. I'm like, why? Why is it popping up? Now, we've been dealing with these Chinese pump and dumps. So I might ask myself, is this a Chinese pump and dump? So then I'm thinking, is this a Chinese stock? Are they sending out WhatsApp messages? WhatsApp. Anyways, so then I'm like, is this something I should trust? But when I see that it's a news headline, then I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Now I understand why the stock is squeezing higher. So I see that we've got news on this. Step three is to perform my technical analysis. So that's where I'm trying to figure out, really, is there a way I can buy this stock that's moving up? So when I begin my technical analysis, I'm pulling up my candlestick charts. So this naturally, technical analysis requires an ability to read candlestick charts quite well and to understand the language of the financial markets. Now, candlestick charts are pretty much a universal language. This is respected by traders all around the world. So this is the individual candlestick shapes. I kind of think of them as like letters of the alphabet, and the letters combine to form words. And the word that's spelling right here is buy me now. This is a pullback pattern. It's one of my favorite patterns. And this right here is a pullback pattern. It's a great pattern too. So of course I traded all of this in my big account, but I'd already taken my one account in the small account. So the way I break down my charts, as you can see here, is I've got 4 charts, and these are all for the same stock. But what's different about them is they're different time frames. This is a 10-second chart. This is a 1-minute chart, this is a 5-minute chart, and this is a daily chart. So this candle represents the day, the full day of price action. And unfortunately on this stock, it's a red candle. It has 89 million shares of volume, but it opened super, super high. It pushed a little higher, and then it sold off as the day went on. That's a little disappointing. Drug, this was our big move yesterday. This stock yesterday ended up having a huge green candle. Look at this thing. It opened low and it closed high. And that's fantastic. So that's your daily candle right there. So the daily candle is important. And when I first pulled up ATNF, I actually neglected to notice the position of this line right here, which is our 200 exponential moving average. So this is a technical indicator that a lot of traders use. When a stock is below it and it's right underneath it, it's usually resistance. When it's above it, it's usually support. So it's an area that's very well respected. Now, ATNF, when I look back on the daily, has this day back here with about 30 million shares of volume where it went up from $1 something up to about $4 a share. So that's what I remember it from, because this was not that long ago. This was just back in July. So a big green, big strong day for the stock there. So as I was looking at the daily chart, I didn't see the 200. I didn't notice that. I think I just was all of a sudden in the zone on this stock because it was moving so quickly. So the 5-minute chart basically looks like this. We've just gone from $1.50 to $2.50, right? And we're at 3. So we're already up 100%. That's how fast this thing moved, from $1.50 to $3, just like that. So when I pulled this up, I looked at that, and the first thing I said to myself is, this stock is up 100% in how many minutes is this? This is like less than a minute. So this is what I did. I pulled up my Thinkorswim account, and so this is my Thinkorswim account right here. I type in the stock ATNF, and I had it loaded up for 2,500 shares. I pressed the control button right here, and then I click on the ask. So this is the ladder, and this was the fastest way for me to use Thinkorswim during this challenge. So, and by the way, so let's back up out of this for 1 second. So step 3 is technical analysis, and step 4 is executing the trade. And I guess to complete my thought on the technical analysis, so when I first pulled up the chart, this is what I was looking at. The stock has just spiked from $1.60 up to $1.80, up to $2.40, up to $2.50, up to $2.80, hit a high of 3. So when I first pulled it up, I saw how much it was up on the day, that it was already up 100%. It had tapped 3 and it had pulled back down here to 263. As it curled back up through 3 right here, I took my first position. I added and got filled as it broke over $3. So this candle right here formed a micro pullback. We've got to actually like zoom into that candle to kind of really be able to visualize how fast this happened. I wish I could go into a shorter time frame, but this is the shortest one I have. So what we're going to do here, we're going to jump onto the whiteboard and I'm going to dissect for you what happened on this candle. So we're down at $1.50 and we have breaking news that comes out, news. So the stock immediately squeezes up, and well, I got to keep this maybe more in perspective. Okay, so I'm going to make the candle smaller. So we're just going to squeeze up, 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 up. We hit a high of, this was 3, let's see, the high of this candle right here was actually 294. So the high of that candle was 294. So I'm going to say 294. And then we know that this candle ended up closing red. It's a 10-second candle that closed red. So we know the price came back down. Let's say these are 1-second candles, something like that. So we have the topping tail, but it closed red. So something like this. It's not exactly 1-second candles, but you get the idea. If it was 1-second candles, we would need a few more green candles in here. So something like that. It pulls back just for a second. And as it was pulling back, this was when I pulled it up because the stock had just hit my scanner. So it hit my scanner and other people were mentioning it. They were saying, hey, Ross, take a look at ATNF. ATNF is squeezing up. So of course, the nice thing about being in a community of active traders is that as momentum traders, we're all looking more or less at the same things. We're looking at stocks that are moving fast. And so when you have something that goes up 100% really quick, people pay attention and they're like, hey, take a look at this. So people are telling me to take a look at it. I see it hit that high of 94. It pulls back right here. And then I saw it starting to move higher and I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. And right there, it pulled back and then went up to a high of $4.50. which was absolutely unbelievable. That was a huge move right there. So what I did was I saw it right here on this pullback, and as it starts to curl up, I put the buy button, I click the buy button. Now here's my one kind of gripe with Thinkorswim. I click the buy button and I wait. And I don't know if I'm getting any shares. Nothing's happening. So I'll change this to a day order. Well, it won't matter because I'm out of buying power, but I'll just do it anyways. So I click right here, for instance. We could put it on auto send. It's just going to reject the order. But you know, I put the buy order there just for instance, and or is it gonna keep it now that let's see. No, it's canceled it. Anyways, now that I'm over 25,000, I don't know, maybe it would. But anyways, okay, it doesn't. So I click the buy button and I'm like, is this order, is this going through? What's going on? And I'm not sure. And I click it a second time. 2 orders now are out. And I don't know. I don't know. All of a sudden I see it printing 315, 318, and I'm like, oh no. And then I see it shows that I'm in. And all of a sudden it's showing that I'm green. $800, $900, $1,000. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, here we go. I'm in. So it rips up here to a high. So that's 360. It goes up to 420 right here. It goes up to 440. And as we broke over $4, I didn't even really know how much I was up. I just knew I was up a lot. And I pressed the button sell bid. I pressed sell bid once. And some shares started to sell. And then I pressed it a second time. And then I had to wait a few seconds. And I wasn't sure what was going on. I was like, am I in? Am I out? I'm still holding some shares. You know, what's happening? And then they were all gone. And it showed $5,955.30 on the day. And I was like, wow, I'm done. The challenge is over. But that speaks to my biggest critique about the Thinkorswim platform. It sometimes feels like I'm trading, like, I don't know. It's like trying to send a really important text message with like snow gloves on. I don't even know if this is working right now. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but it just, I just feel not connected. I press the buy button and I don't get instant response. That's what I'm accustomed to with Thinkorswim, or not with Thinkorswim, with my Lightspeed platform. With my Lightspeed platform, I'm accustomed to instant response. And I'll just show you, just for the heck of it. It doesn't matter. So let's see. I have 2 accounts with Thinkorswim, or with Lightspeed. I've got my main account, and then I've got a margin account here, which I don't usually use, but I'll just put it up here. I'll just do for the sake of it. Who cares? So let's pull up something that's pretty liquid. S, that's pretty liquid. BAC, that's pretty. It's bigger spread. Let's do this one. All right, so I'll just do 1 share. We'll see if this will go through. So watch this. So I'm gonna just press the buy button, and do you see how like instantaneous that is? 2. It just went to 2 shares. I've now got 2. You don't even see the order hit active orders. It basically just goes right to 3 shares. It's like instantaneous. And then I press Control Z and the position's gone. This is like, it's so fast. That's why they call it Lightspeed trading. And you know, when they first came out, Lightspeed trading, can't remember the full story, but there was something with E-Trade and Lightspeed. And anyways, Lightspeed became this super fast trading platform that was designed for really active traders. And so, you know, just like this, like it doesn't matter how many shares, it doesn't matter. So 10 shares in instantly, 20 shares, 30 shares, 50 shares, and then I can sell the whole thing. Now, well, so what's going on right now, this is the problem with trading after hours, is that the market's, it's not as easy to move in and out. But anyways, so now it's out. I got a little bit of slippage on this order, which this is just because market makers, they're not really making the market at 7:30 p.m. So whatever, lost $6. But you get the idea of how fast you can move in and out of the market. And I actually could probably file a complaint on that because it's showing a bid at $25.99 and I filled it at $25.86, but I really don't care. That's trading late in the night. You should expect to get things like that. There's no volume, right? That's the problem. It's not liquid. But during regular trading hours, you can move in, you can move out just so fast. It's unbelievable. And so basically what I do is I'll pull up a stock. I'll say, okay, I like this. And then I start clicking. Boom, boom, boom. I'm in. and then I want to get out, boom, I'm pressing that sell button and I'm going to get out real quick. So, it's like I could put my order on the ask, I could take profit 26.01, I could put my order down between the spread, I could sell on the bid, and I'm in and out. It allows you to really feel like the computer is an extension of your brain. You're so connected to it. And I love that about Lightspeed. And Thinkorswim was really challenging for me. That was the biggest challenge, was this platform here, buying with point and click, selling with point and click. And this is something that would happen all the time, is I'd pull up a stock. Let's look at let's see, what was a stock today that's a cheap stock? So MTEM. So we'll pull up MTEM. So MTEM, it doesn't matter. So MTEM will go like this. So see how this is 85, 85.06, 85.07. Basically, this ladder is like, you have to scroll to get your order up to get an offset. If you want to buy at 86, you've got to scroll for a second. So what I would often do is I would zoom out a little bit. That way I could just click 87.5 cents and click the buy button, right? If I want to get in it, or 89 cents, or I could set my profit target to sell up at 91 cents, 92. But then I would switch to something like ATNF and look what happens. So ATNF now, wait a second. It's showing 17.37, which is not the current price. And it's going up by 50-cent increments. The current price is way down here. It's just like it doesn't align correctly. Let's see, where's another one? VS, right? So VS, it's all messed up. So then you've got to zoom back in. So that happened to me this morning, actually, because the first stock I was trading, or the first stock I looked at this morning, was a cheaper stock that hit the scanner. And I was thinking, maybe this could be a good one for the small account challenge. And so I type it in, and then I've got to go, plus, so I can see the pennies. And then all of a sudden I had to go minus, and then I switched to ATNF, and I've got to go minus to get zoomed out. So I just think that this platform, really, it's not catering to active traders. You can use it, and as you can see, I've done it, but it just feels a little bit like flying blind. I don't love it. So to be honest, I think Lightspeed is hands down a better platform for active trading. And although you pay a commission, I think that it's worth the money. I think that the money you save in commission-free trading here, like whatever you save here, you end up making here by getting better executions and getting in and out when you actually want to. So I feel like it's kind of like stepping over dollars to pick up pennies to use these commission-free brokers if you're at a point where you've got, $10,000, $15,000 and you're really taking it seriously. If you're trading with $500 or $1,000, then commission-free does make sense because you've got no fees, there's no platform fees or anything like that. With Lightspeed, you pay like $75 a month for market data, and then you pay your $2, $3 commission fee and ECN fees. So, it adds up, but I just think it's worth it. Anyway, so that's kind of my biggest challenge with Thinkorswim, was just I honestly just felt like the platform at times was very slow and not bordering on non-responsive. So here's something that triggered me yesterday. Yesterday, we had a stock, and so by the way, this was step 3. So step 4, executing the trade. So I've already walked you through that. And the way I have this set up here is, of course, I have extended hours, auto send, and I don't click buy ask because I found that I usually don't get filled. It puts the order to buy and then the market jumps over me. So I really had to get in by pressing, using the ladder. So I got to zoom back into this thing. This is so annoying. So I usually was buying by clicking on the ladder and just pressing control and then clicking right up here. And so my buy order would be like 25 cents above the current offer. And that's how I was mostly getting in and out. I was pressing sell bid, but I didn't really like that either because there were times where I'd press sell bid and then your order is on the bid, but if the price drops, well, now your order's up on the ask and you have to wait for the price to come back up. And if you get an odd number of shares you're holding like this, then you've got to type it in and you don't have a button to flatten because this doesn't work pre-market. So in total, I'm going to be a little critical of the platform because it's really not great for high-speed trading. And then step 5 is to do your analytics. So you do your analytics, you go through your metrics. But let's back that up for 1 second. I'll switch back to my IRA account because that's a much prettier number. And let's talk about how I got so triggered yesterday. So yesterday we had this stock SGD. I ended up yesterday up about, it was like $11,000 or something like that. And one of the stocks I did really well on was on SGD, which pre-market gave us this really nice squeeze. I mean, this thing was impressive. Now, yes, it came back down, but it had news at 8:30, bottom of the hour, and this thing rips to 350 to 4, and I tried to buy at 415. I tried to buy 4,000 shares, 4 times 4, $16,000, so I had more than enough buying power to do it, and my order just sat there. Nothing happened. My order doesn't fill. It just sits there. And I'm like, what is going on right now? I put out my gosh darn buy order. I want those shares. Come on. You know, trading is hard enough without kind of getting jerked around by the platform just not working. So this was I can't remember what it was, but I was on this micro pullback right here. So I tried to buy right there, no fill. I'm annoyed, but I'm like, whatever. Cancel the order because it didn't fill. Try to buy right here, no fill. Goes higher. Try to buy right here, no fill. Finally, I just gave up. And then people said, yeah, I got a message from support. Thinkorswim's not placing any orders for SGD. We're not sure why. So no one was able to trade it. The whole platform, no one was able to trade this stock. Total BS. They couldn't trade it. So I should have crossed over $25,000 yesterday because I tried to buy this right down here, 4,000 shares. It went up $1 a share. Boom, I would have been done. But I wasn't able to trade it in my small account. So that really got under my skin. And so that gives me even kind of stronger feelings about this, the final result. So now let's talk about kind of the final result here. So $15,000 ended up over the course of 16 days, taking 22 trades with 90% accuracy. Average hold time, 2 minutes. For winners, 1 minute for losers. Breakout or bailout. That's what I say. If it doesn't work right away, get out. Average gain per trade, 20 cents. Not bad. Largest loss, 219. Largest winner today. There's nothing about this that you can complain about. These are fantastic metrics. Now, granted, it's only $886 per day, which is not a lot of money per day. So now the question is, could I maintain 90% accuracy with this type of profit loss ratio, but instead taking 22 trades, take like 200 trades? Because then I'd be up $150,000 in 16 days. Or what if instead of taking 200 trades, I just took more share size? My average daily volume was 8,700 shares, which means I was buying 4,300 and selling 4,300 approximately. So your total volume is the number of shares you buy and the number of shares you sell. So what if we multiply that by 10? We go up to 40,000 shares. Well, see, buying 40,000 shares in one trade, that's not easy. So I'm kind of limited this can't go up by 10x just on like one entry, one exit. 47,000 shares or 43,000, whatever. That would be too many for most stocks. But it's got to be a combination of increasing the trade quantity and increasing the size in order to get better performance. So now let's talk about the results and compare to 2017. So September 2024, that was when it began the challenge. Now, in fairness, I had the account funded and ready to go at the beginning of the month, and I waited several days for a really good quality setup. On the first day, my very first trade that I took was a loser, and I was so annoyed. So first trade of the challenge, let's see, it's back here. Very first trade is a loser. This was QH. I tried to buy BCTX, but I filled QH. What happened? So what happened here on this was, what was it? I'm trying to remember what happened. If it was an issue between here and here, or now I can't remember what happened, but I inadvertently bought the exact wrong stock. So bought the wrong stock, lost $154 on my first trade. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. And I was like, man, Thinkorswim sucks. But then anyways, the second trade was a winner. So day one in the books with $350. All right, so $350 day one, not bad, but I was a little bit annoyed. $396. Day two, 526. So first week, $900. Second week, 2,700. Had an awesome trade right here. This was actually like the second best trade of the whole challenge. And then the rest, for the most part, was one trade. And some days I only got $155. Other days I got 400. You know, it was what the stock gave me. I averaged 20 cents a share, but my best day was this day here and then this final day here. Those were my best days. Of course, I should have had a good day back here, but you know, that one was lost. So in 2017, when I funded a small account challenge, this was a little bit different. So this was the first month. So 20 days. So 20 days here and 16 days here. Both were about 1 month. This has, so 16 days here, but I had a lot of no trade days. So you could probably say it was 20 days if you wanted to. This was 20 days, but I traded every single day. So anyways, however you want to look at it, both of them were about a month long, a little more than a month for this challenge, because I started in September and I'm finishing here in October. But I had a lot of no trade days, including the whole first week of September. So my total gain was $15,000 here. Total gain here, $16,000. Total number of trades, 49. Total number of trades, 22. All right. So on the one hand, you might think, oh, I actually did better this time around because I only took 22 trades, but I made $15,000. My accuracy was even a little bit better at 90%. My profit loss ratio was definitely better. I had a big loser on the first challenge towards the end of that first month. So that hurt quite a bit. But here's the biggest difference. I started this account and funded it with, you may recall, $583.15. And I had 6 times leverage, which means I was able to trade with $3,600 approximately on day one, which means I was able to buy 1,000 shares of a stock at $3.60. It goes up 20 cents. I'm up $200. And on that first day of the challenge, I was up $186. On day two, I think I was up like $150. So by the end of that first week, the account had already doubled. I was already up over $1,000. With this challenge, I funded the account with $13,000 to $6,500 IRA contributions. So I started with, 26 times larger account, substantially bigger. And that's because I knew I had no leverage at all. So I had $13,000 in buying power. Now, I guess if I wanted to make it exactly equal, I could have funded it with $3,600. But I still only had, I still had a cash only, so I could only take 1 trade a day. Whereas over here, I could trade as much as I wanted. But in fact, I didn't. I still focused on taking 1 trade a day, but I was using that 6 times leverage, so I was buying using all of this buying power. With the cash only account, I wasn't able to do that. But one of the things that you guys asked was that I tried doing a cash only account because it's more realistic. And some people said, 13,000 is not really a small account. And I said, well, okay, I guess that's, you could argue that if you want to. I think it is a small account in my opinion, but I said it doesn't really matter because anything under 25,000 is going to be cash only, 1 trade a day. So if I start with $1,300 or I start with $13, I still can only take 1 trade a day. And those are still the same trades I would have taken as I grew the account. So if I started at $1,300, then, the growth would be slower. There's no doubt about it. I have less buying power and I can only take 1 trade a day. So the growth is slower. It doesn't mean you can't grow. It just means you've got to be patient. So I started with a number that I felt like I could achieve interesting growth and, produce some nice returns, and that I wouldn't be doing this challenge for like 6 months because, to be honest, it's fairly difficult to try to trade in 2 accounts more or less at the same time. Because if I take a trade in the small account, then I'm like, well, I don't want to miss the opportunity in my big account. So I'm trying to juggle trading in 2 accounts at the same time or prioritizing. Right now, I'm going to focus on the small account, but then that comes at a sacrifice to the big account. So the really good trade, maybe I do want to take in the big account so I can make, $97,000 in 1 day. And in the small account, I'll make the best with what is left. So that's a real challenge, and it's unique to me because most people don't have the need to trade in two accounts. But anyways, if I did just the small account challenge, it would come at such a sacrifice of profit. I mean, think about, so I started the small account challenge in September. So if we just looked at how much money I've made since the beginning of the small account challenge, since I started focusing on it since September 1st through, whatever, the end of this month, how much would that have cost me? $141,000. Cost me that. That's a lot of money, right? So I'm happy to do a small account challenge. I know you guys enjoy it, but I don't want to be doing them forever, and I have to kind of juggle two accounts at the same time. So I started with a number that I thought was realistic. But what we know is that my rate of return, my growth rate in 2017 far exceeded 2024. I'm still able to grow the account this year, but it was not the same as what it was before. Now, by the way, my 2017 performance has been audited. I had an independent third-party accountant do an audit of my returns. Started with $583. That was January 1st, 2017. By the end of 2023, I was at $10.7 million in profit, averaging $127,000 a month with a 64% monthly return. Now, for those of you guys that are maybe cynical and say, Ross, if you were really such a successful trader, you would have started with $53,000 and you'd be a billionaire by now. Well, remember how I said that in order to 10x this performance, I would need to 10x my share size? Well, that would be taking 43,000 share average positions. Same thing with the small account challenge from 2017 through current. Well, see, look, I was trading an average of 13,000 shares a day. All right. So you want to 10x that? You're taking 60,000 share average positions. There's just a limit to liquidity in the market to be able to move in and out with that kind of size. So there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to trading in general. And you can make a lot of money. And I'm not going to say that anyone can do it. It requires a certain aptitude. It certainly requires a strategy and discipline. But for me, for instance, I found at a certain point of share quantity, my profits diminish. So if I was trying to trade here with 100,000 share average position size, although there would be some trades where it worked, I would actually find that it's easier to move in and out of the market sort of in this area. So I often try to find myself in these areas. Sometimes I push it a little too hard and I'm like, I should size down. And then sometimes I'm like, I should push a little harder. So, this is the sweet spot that you got to find yourselves in. And for me right now, I would say this is probably about 50,000 shares. And this is probably like 30,000 shares. And everything down here is like, 2,000, 10, 15, 20, and I could do pretty well. Again, depends on the stock, but once you try to get up to 50, 75, 100,000 shares, it just starts to get harder to move in and out of the market. You have to be a little bit more selective. And when you're more selective, you're going to reduce the total number of trades you take. So I can't really scale. I can only scale so much on the share size, right? And I'm at a point now where I'm not limited by the amount of money I have in my account. My big account today had $235,000 in equity. So the account's up like 40% in one day. And I didn't use all that money. So I didn't use all my buying power. I didn't need all that money to take those trades. So I really don't need more than usually $150,000 in my account. I just don't for day trading. And I'm up over $800,000. Actually, well, after today's trades, $950,000 on the year with generally $150,000 account. So increasing quantity is kind of not working. Increasing total number of trades, increasing quantity being share size, increasing total quantity of trades, similar. You end up finding that when you increase your number of trades, how many A quality setups do you have each day? So A quality setups each day, maybe 5 to 10, depending on the quality of the market. In a hot market, 5 to 10. Cold market, 1 to 2. B quality setups, in a hot market, 10 to 30. Cold market, 3 to 5. C quality setups, 30 to 75, maybe more. In a cold market, again, if you want to set your standard low, you could probably get more trades. But what's my accuracy on A? Well, based on this challenge, if I'm really focusing on A quality, 90%. But when I go down to trading kind of, down in this area, this is going to be like 70%. And because occasionally I introduce these ones, these are probably like 60%, which is why my blended rate is about 68%. because I kind of trade all of these. And I do it because I want to get, it's kind of that ideal quantity of trades where instead of share size, we're talking about, quality down here. So I want to get, and the total number, I want to get enough trades where I can maximize my profit. Certainly I'll make more if I'm trading B quality setups, right? If 70% is still worth trading, 60%, nah, probably not, but maybe in a hot market, it's 65%, right? Because this is also, the percentage is going to vary a little bit from market to market. So, it's kind of it's just something that you're kind of always working with. And actually, I'll say that this is something that I find so interesting about trading is the fact that it's just, everything is always, you have to adapt to changing markets. So the pros and cons of this challenge, the pros were T1 settlement, no commissions, no platform fees, plus insured deposits. It's not an offshore broker. The cons, the PDT rule, cash only, no leverage, could only take one trade a day, slower progress, running out of buying power, and the Thinkorswim platform, not easy for me. So what I do differently, for maximum account growth, I'd use an offshore broker. For maximum account growth, that's what I would do, offshore broker. But for a better day trading platform that's still commission free, I might test out Webull. But to be honest, I would just use Lightspeed. Lightspeed and paying the commission, it's going to be a better experience. It's going to be faster. And look, guys, do what you want. I'm not an affiliate of Lightspeed. I don't get paid if you open an account there. I don't care. I make enough money trading. And I've got, of course, the software company at Warrior Trading with Day Trade Dash. So I don't need to make money if you sign up for a broker or you use one of the tools I use. It doesn't matter. What I'm just going to tell you is my honest opinion. It's a faster platform. You can trade faster. So you can get into the market, you can get out faster. And I think that is important. Can you grow an account with Thinkorswim? Sure, I just did it. I've seen other people do it before. A number of my members, my students at Warrior Trading who have earned $1 million badges have done it with Thinkorswim. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but man, it feels like a clunky platform. Now, I do know some people use third-party integrations like Dash Trader. So they trade through that platform and then it executes their trades at Thinkorswim. But I've also heard people struggle with that at times. So I don't usually like using a third-party integration as a layer over the platform. To be honest, it doesn't change the fact that the back end of Thinkorswim is still this payment for order flow routing system, where sometimes you'll just fill the whole order like that, and it's like a magic fill. And other times you sit and wait and wait and wait. And it just feels like that system, like that's what you get for free. It's okay. It could be better. I don't know if it'll get better, but I think if you want better, you got to go look for brokers that are currently offering a better performance. So, this is the nice thing with all the choices that we have. There's tons of brokers out there, offshore, US brokers, brokers that cater to active traders, brokers for commission-free trading. You choose what works for you. Now, if you want to learn more, as always, about my strategy, make sure you download the packet of resources that are part of this Thinkorswim challenge, including my small account strategy, my 5 pillars of stock selection, my micro pullback strategy, and my Thinkorswim layout if you do want to use it. I want to thank you for tuning into this challenge. I hope you hit that thumbs up. I hope you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll remind you again that my results are not typical. Trading is risky. I've been doing this for a long time. So please, if you're a beginner trader, practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. I'll see you for the next episode here real soon.